Hi, I'm Matt Golofczynski, the technical writer for What Digital Camera magazine, and today we're looking at the Canon EOS 50D, a 15.1 megapixel DSLR. The camera follows the Canon EOS 40D, and Canon has stressed that it isn't a replacement but a sister model to that camera. As such, there are only a few minor alterations which we'll be looking at a bit later on. The 50D is the first camera to incorporate Canon's new processor, the Digic 4, which has since been incorporated into a number of compacts and also to the 5D Mark II. This allows the camera a sensitivity range of 100 to 12,800, which doesn't quite match the Nikon D3 but comes quite close. As with the 40D, we've got a 3-inch LCD screen on the rear. It's got an enhanced resolution now though of 922,000 dots, which makes it VGA resolution, and it equals that of the Nikon D300, Sony A700 and models in the same range. Something else the processor has allowed for is a 6.3 frames per second burst rate, which is pretty good for a model of this sort. It's slightly slower than the 40D, which offered a 6.4 frames per second rate, but the camera does have a lot more information to deal with from that 15 megapixel sensor. As with the 40D, we've got the same autofocus system, which features 9 cross-type points, all of them being sensitive to at least f5.6. And we also see the dust reduction system, which Canon calls EOS integrated cleaning, on the inside, which stops dust from getting through to the sensor by shaking the low-pass filter in front of it. The body is also similar to the 40D, with the same handling, same control arrangement pretty much, and it's also been sealed against dust and moisture. It's made of magnesium alloy, so it's quite tough as well, and it just means that it can withstand a few more knocks and scrapes better than entry-level models such as the 450D and 1000D. So in terms of the EOS hierarchy, the camera sits just above the 40D and below models like the 5D Mark II and the 1DS series. So it's good as a backup body to the more expensive cameras, but also a good upgrade option if you've been using cameras like the 400 or the 450D and you want something that's a little bit better. So the camera comes as a kit option with the 17 to 85mm kit lens, which has an aperture of 4 to 5.6. So it's not the fastest lens, but it's good for general use. It's also got image stabilisation, which allows you to shoot at around 3 stops slower than you would normally be able to and still get sharp shots. And it's also got Canon's USM technology for fast and quiet focusing. You can see on the mode dial here that we've got the basic exposure modes such as program, aperture priority, but also a handful of scene modes for shooting portraits, landscapes, if you're not sure what settings to use. You've also got 2 custom settings as well, which allow you to register your own personal settings for quick access. Next to that, you can see we've got the hot shoe for connecting external units. You can see here we've got your top plate LCD, which allows you to view all your exposure information quite quickly. It's all in one place. You've got your ISO, your white balance, your aperture, and so on. It's also quite convenient that all of these can be changed with the buttons at the top here. So if you want to change your ISO, you just press ISO and move your command dial. If you want to change your metering, it's pretty much the same. Just above here you can see we've got the shutter release button, which takes your pictures, and you've also got a lamp button, so if you're shooting in darker conditions you can still see all the information there. Okay, so you can see the menu options here. We've got the same kind of menu system as on the 5D Mark II on the same 3-inch LCD. Your first settings, the first settings you come to, you've got the image quality settings and your parameters such as custom white balance, colour space, that kind of thing. Then you've got your playback options, so you can view your histograms or if you want to make a slideshow of your images. Then you've got the maintenance section, if you want to format your cards, clean your sensor or set your live view settings. And finally we've got the custom functions as well, which really allow you to personalise the camera. You've also got the My Menu settings, where you can assign all the key options that you want to access quickly into one menu. Okay, so the camera has got a lot of buttons, but it is quite easy to operate. If you want to play back your pictures, you can see that you can just zoom straight into them and you've still got a really good level of detail with which to check focus. You can move around as well with the joystick as well, so you can really zip around the images quite quickly. You've got your delete button down here, your info, your picture styles and your function buttons too, so all these things can be brought up quite quickly. Also your multi-selector scroll wheel down here. That allows you to zip through all your menu options, your images really quickly. Next to that you can see there's an access lamp as well. What this does is to show you when your images are being recorded to the card so that you know not to take your memory card out. Speaking of the memory card, you've got a compact flash slot right to the right of the camera here. It just takes the one compact flash card and it's quite secure. So what are the images like? Well, the exposures are generally quite good. The only time you see the camera underexposing is in high contrast situations, such as when you're shooting a landscape with a lot of skies, where the camera does underexpose a little bit. You have got features such as the auto lighting optimizer and the highlight tone priority, which help out if you want to adjust the dynamic range in any way. Noise is generally well controlled up to around sort of 1600, 3200. After that you do see quite a lot of chroma noise and also a little bit of banding as well, particularly at the highest sensitivity of 12,800. That's a lot harder to remove as well, so the highest setting really isn't very usable. White balance again is good. We've got the same kind of situation as with previous cameras where it's quite warm in general. Indoors skin tones are quite warm, a little bit too pink. Under artificial lighting as well the camera is a little bit warm too, but outdoors it's generally okay. And the RAW files also contain a lot more detail than the JPEGs, so if you really want to get the best out of it, it's advisable that you post-process your files either using the Digital Photo Professional software that comes with the camera or a third-party converter such as Adobe Camera Raw. So what's the final verdict? Well, the 50D is definitely a capable camera. It does upgrade the 40D in the right areas, such as with the LCD screen, but it's a little bit expensive at the moment, particularly as Canon have just adjusted their prices too. The body alone will set you back around £900 or so, and it doesn't represent very good value, especially when you consider it to something like the 40D, which is still only around sort of £600. So it really is only the price that's the problem. Once it comes down, it's going to be a fantastic contender to models like the Nikon D300, but taking all that into account, we give it 88%.
Sorry.